Welcome back, everybody, to the Nosebleed Sports Podcast. I'm Chris Witt, and with me, as always, is Mr. Adam Schmidt. Adam, how are you today, sir?
Despite the lighting that makes me look even worse than I really look, I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm doing good, and we got to introduce the man who doesn't matter what the lighting looks like because he's going to look good, whether it's my basement lighting, your yellow tinted lighting, or his perfect lighting, as always. Mr. Andre Edwards, how are you today, sir?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How are you, fellas?
Buddy, I can't tell you how excited I am for today's podcast. Besides the fact that the Bengals dropped a huge load on the season, mostly, obviously, a big part of that being that they lost their star young quarterback. But they still pulled a few wins off, but not enough to get me into the driver's seat of our three-man bet. I also lost the two-tie, all-tie, whatever we made that out to be. Therefore, I get to bless all of you people in the millions with my a cappella version of a song that I'm going to let Andre pick later today.
I can't wait. If we could just skip past the Bengals conversation and move directly to me picking songs for you to sing, that would be fantastic because it would be way more entertaining than the 16 games that I watched this year.
Boy, and that.
So to explain exactly what we did, we all picked what we predicted at the beginning of the season, predicted the record, and then we picked whether it was a win or loss each week. So then whoever got the closest on record won, but then the loser basically was determined by how few we got right each week, right? So that was Andre predicted 6-10, which was obviously the closest at 4-11-1. Chris, you had 8-8, and I had 7-9. And then I think I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I had eight correct picks for each week, whether it was a win or loss. Andre had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then Chris, you had 5, actually, because you picked the win.
Yeah, you just had way too many wins, bro.
I did. That was what happened. I had too many wins. And Adam picked the Pittsburgh win. How crazy is that?
That's money. I wouldn't give him – first of all, had I told him Ryan Finley was starting, he wouldn't have picked that win.
No, absolutely not. But as usual, our Bengals insider / professional singer wins the bet and doesn't get to grace us with his golden pipes. Although at some point in time, in the years to come, Andre, we will have you singing on this podcast.
Hey, man, you just gotta beat me, man. That's all.
Next year is always next year, right?
Always next year. So speaking of this year, obviously Burrow goes out in week, I don't know, was it 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever week it was, after getting beat up all year long. They pull a couple extra wins out somehow towards the end of the year. But let's get into the Zach Taylor talk because it's already been said that he's staying. We had this conversation earlier. I mean, he doubled his wins from last year without a real quarterback from half the year. Thoughts on keeping on Mr. Zach Taylor around?
So, first thought, 6-25-1. If I told you that your head coach was 6-25-1 and you had the opportunity to bring him back and or let him go without knowing what the circumstances was, what would you do?
See ya.
Right? Like, if Kyle Shanahan is out there winning games, in San Francisco with second and third string quarterbacks, if Joe Judge in New York is contending when his starting quarterback is going down and beating the Bengals with Colt McCoy, if the Washington football team is in the playoffs when they started with Dwayne Haskins as their quarterback, went to another guy, now they got to do with one leg and Alex Smith, who is their quarterback, and they still won 7 games, playing pretty much the same schedule we did, but we could only win, 4 games. I just struggle with the idea that things are going to get drastically better, because you don't need in year 3. I don't need him to go from 2 wins to 4 wins to 6 wins. I need him to go from 2 wins to 4 wins to 9, 10, 11 wins, because we should be in the coach's 3rd year. You should be pushing for the playoffs, right? At minimum, 8-8, 9-7. Or technically speaking, I guess we got 17 games next year. So 9-8. 10-7. That type of thing. That's where you should be next year. That's the expectation, right? And part of the reason why you didn't get to where you wanted to be this year is because Joe Burrow got hurt. But ultimately, whose fault is that? You trusted in a dude in Jim Turner who stood on the table for Bobby Hart, who stood on the table for Michael Jordan, and said, these are my guys, right? These are the guys that I'm going to protect the franchise with. And because of that, you ended up in the situation that you're in with, Brandon Allen and Ryan Finley as your quarterback options. That's on you.
So next year, sounds like you don't have much hope for next year is what it sounds like.
So here's the thing. I don't have a lot of faith in him as the head coach. I have a ton of faith in Joe Burrow as the quarterback. So if they follow the same pattern that they did last year, which is spend heavily and smartly, it backfired from the standpoint of injuries, right? Which you can't predict.
Right.
But I thought they brought in quality people. I was happy with the offseason that they had. If you turn around and do that same and make that same effort on the offensive line. So everybody was super excited about the 3rd pick and getting Penei Sewell, and he's going to be the savior of all saviors. Well, then Hopkins tore his ACL in the last game. Now you need a center. Now you need a guard. Now you need a tackle. Penei Sewell can't play all 3 positions at once. So you're going to have to go out and sign some veteran guys who know what they're doing, who are proven, not Xavier Suafilo level type guys. I'm talking Joe Tooney type guys. Go pay some money for some dudes who know what they're doing, right? Mm-hmm. You get a couple of those dudes, now Joe Burrow is protected. And then with that number 5 pick, you go and you look at a dude like Devontae Smith or Jamar Chase or Pitts out of Florida. Give him another weapon and let's go to work. I'll be all right with that. But again, it's going to be, to me, it'll be more in spite of the coach as opposed to because of.
I feel like I could agree with that because the team has the talent. You see it. They're in so many games when Joe Burrow was there. But being in games, you can be in games with young talent. But to win those games, you need something extra. And that's not Zach Taylor. He's proven it for 2 years now.
Right. Yeah, I can't have faith in a dude who's 6'20", 5'1". I can't. Like it's not possible. And to watch the strategy that he put forth for those, first 6, 7, 8 games that Joe Burrow was here was drop back and throw the ball 45 times with a crap offensive line and a rookie quarterback. Like, that just doesn't make sense. You beat the Pittsburgh Steelers with Ryan Finley completing 7 passes. Legit. 7 passes the whole game. I want to say he threw like 13, maybe. So you put Ryan Finley in a position to protect him, yet you took the franchise and just threw him to the wolves. That doesn't make sense to me.
We talked about it in the very beginning of the season. This team has a couple good running backs. One really good running back and another good running back. Play action, feed him the ball, let Joe Mixon beat up an offense. He is going to get better as the game goes on. As the defense gets tired, Joe Mixon is going to get better. Feed those backs the ball, run play action, let Joe have some extra time because his line's not going to help him. And what do? They drop back and throw the ball 60 times a game. Ridiculous. Doesn't make a lick of sense to me. Didn't make a lick of sense when it happened. And
it wasn't shocked when it ended up in catastrophic injury.
So besides the offensive line, what is there another position group that needs to be significantly improved for this team to be able to take the next step? Or if you do that with the offensive line, that's where it gets you to the next level, gets you to the
I think if you do that with the offensive line, that gets you competitive, right? That makes you entertaining. Everybody likes to watch high-scoring games, and we lost 38-31, but it was super fun to watch, right? But if you're going to take that next step, I always say there's two things you want to do. You want to protect your quarterback and pressure the other quarterback, right? We had 0 pass rush this year. If it wasn't Carl Lawson, getting remotely close to somebody, the quarterback was standing back there reading newspapers, eating tea and crumpets, and throwing the ball all over the field, right? There's just no pressure there. There isn't an elite pass rusher, even if you do re-sign Carl, who is a free agent. Like, even if you do re-sign him, who's on the other side? What's that look like? What does the interior look like? I don't personally, I don't believe Geno Atkins will be back next year, and even if he is, he's clearly a shell of himself. So where's that pressure coming from? So my number one priority, obviously, is protect Joe Burrow. Number two priority is get to the other team's quarterback and make them uncomfortable. And then number three, with not knowing what's up with William Jackson, you got Trey Waynes, you got Darius Phillips, and really nobody else, because Mackenzie Alexander is a free agent too. So cornerback is a place that I would focus as well.
We need a playmaker. I feel like there's no playmaker on defense, and we haven't had a playmaker since Vontaze Burfict. As much as you can hate Vontaze Burfict, we haven't had somebody who can blitz when we need to blitz, who can drop back and make something happen and just wreck an offense. We haven't had anybody like that in 5-6 years now, and it shows when we just try to rush 4 all game long. And because you can't bring anybody else, because we don't know our backs, defensive backs and linebackers especially, aren't good enough in the passing game to let somebody else blitz and cover the rest of the field. They just can't do it. So we have to rush 4. Can't get anything because the 4 guys rushing are, like you said, it's average at best, except for maybe Lawson, but. I don't know that like Adam said, I don't think it's just the offensive line. I think there's a lot of things that have to get better for this team to compete for anything. However, without a doubt, they can make the playoffs. This team is 3 or 4 years away from competing for anything. In my
I would say so it all depends upon how you decide to rebuild the team, right? If the Bengals are aggressive in what they do, which obviously they're clearly not known for.
Yes.
But if let's look at a team like Miami. Miami traded away assets like Minkah Fitzpatrick and did things that people were like, whoa, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? But they ripped off the Band-Aid. They got rid of pieces that didn't fit the system that they were trying to do. They acquired a bunch of draft capital. Just missed the playoffs this year, went 10-6, and are picking number 3 because of the trade that they made. Like that's huge. If the Bengals would do something along those lines and be that aggressive, you can turn around a really crappy football team in a year, 2 years. You don't need 4 years in this league in order for that to happen. If the Bengals go out this offseason, legitimately address the offensive line, and then you add a piece or two to the defensive line, and then you let the draft come to you. You get a playmaker on offense, you get a playmaker on defense, and then you fill in your depth with the rest of the draft. You can genuinely rebuild this team to a point of contention, if not 2021, 2022 for sure.
Andre, you said genuinely at least 15 times.
5.
The amount of times you said genuinely makes me believe that you don't believe that the Bengals are going to do any of that anyway.
So it's more so a continuation of the philosophy of last year. last year blew me away.
Yeah.
Right? From an off-season perspective, it absolutely blew me away. I was not prepared for DJ Reader, Trey Waynes, Josh Bynes, Xavier Suafilo, the Von Bell. There were just additions that were made, excuse me, that was beyond anything. A normal Bengals offseason would have been Xavier Suafilo and Josh Bynes, right?
Yeah.
That's a typical Bengals. You wait to the second wave, third wave of free agents. You don't pay a ton of money. Dude's kind of useful in the grand scheme of things, but nobody's fighting over him.
Right.
Day 2, day 3 of free agency in that first wave and paid big money to DJ Reader. They went out and paid big money to Trey Waynes. And then on the back end of all of that, they saw a great bargain in Von Bell and made that move too. If they follow that same philosophy of, hey, we've got deficits, and we need to fill those deficits with proven veteran players that fit our system, they can make a move. It just genuinely depends on, is this what they're trying to do or not? Do they continue what they did last year, or do they go back to bargain basement deals and trying to patchwork the line together and do whatever? That's what it comes down to, and that's the unknown at this point in time, because last year was such an anomaly.
I guess we'll find out here in a couple months.
That reminds me of I worked for a company years ago that used like enormous equipment to do this manufacturing stuff that we were doing. And, like hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars for this equipment. And they kept buying stuff that they found like on eBay, that like throwaways from other companies that were old things that we bought and tried to refurbish just enough to get it working. And we always had problems with that stuff. It reminds me exactly of that.
That's exactly what it is. That's the Bengals' general philosophy, or had been up until last year. It was the general philosophy of free agency. It's we're not going to get in the bidding war. We're going to set our price. Nope, he's going to be way too expensive. We'll wait. We'll get the second, third tier guys. We'll get the dude who is right on the Carlos Dansby of the world, great guy, great locker room guy, but he's a linebacker who's 34 and weighs 250. Like, come on, man. That's not where the NFL is anymore. What are you doing?
Yep. Who was the guy who ended up going on to like Discovery Channel, and he always wore a bow tie?
Oh, Dhani Jones.
Dhani Jones. There you go. I love Dhani Jones.
He was actually legit for a little while here.
Was
right?
actually.
He played pretty well. But what's the dude who was here from Green Bay? Linebacker. Who?
Hawk?
Yeah, right. AJ Hawk. He was on his last legs, Carlos Dansby on his last legs. Man, like, just why are we bringing these dudes in here? They're not the young type of dudes who are going to change the trajectory of the franchise.
Yeah.
When you perennially lose, you have to make big splashes, and you have to do something significant.
And you have to overpay, and you have to be prepared to overpay, right? Because I'm a superstar. I know my worth. Right? Dallas is calling me. Baltimore is calling me. Pittsburgh's calling me. Why am I coming to Cincinnati? I'm coming to Cincinnati because you said you'll pay me $5 million more than what Dallas is going to pay me.
Yep.
Right? That may be $7 million more than what I'm actually worth. But if you want my services, you're going to have to pay me. And that's what the Bengals have to be prepared to do.
Absolutely. So speaking of guys who might be on their last legs and who might be looking for other places to go, we've seen AJ Green for the last time in a Bengals uniform, right?
100%.
What do you think? Let me just throw all my AJ Green questions at you at one time. What happens with AJ Green? What happens to his career going forward for him? do the Bengals need to replace A.J. Green, or does everybody just move up? Is Tyler Boyd now the guy, and now everybody just takes a step up, and you just fill in back at the back, maybe at the back end or middle rounds of the draft or something like that to add another guy? And then what is A.J. Green's? I don't want to say his legacy. That's kind of an overdone question, but maybe where does he rank among all-time Bengals receivers to you?
So to me, if I'm AJ Green or I'm AJ Green's agent, I'm looking at all the coaches who are in place or all the offensive coordinators who are in place who had something to do with or are related to a Marvin Lewis type of offense. Like whatever those coordinators was, whether it's Hugh Jackson or Bill Lazor or whatever, where I was really, really good. I know the language, I know the route trees, I know all those things, because one of the things that was said was that AJ struggled a little bit with learning a new system when they went away from, the 8 previous years of the offenses that he ran under Marvin Lewis to the 2 years under Zach Taylor was a little more different for him than what he had been generally used to. So I would personally be trying to find a place that ran a system that was similar to and or run by one of those dudes. If not, then I'm absolutely looking at like a Green Bay, a New Orleans, Tampa Bay, somewhere where I can go and, grab a ring, right? Mm-hmm. So it's either one, I'm here to chase a ring, which I have no problem with that. I've been in the league 10 years. I earned my stripes. Let's go. Or, you know what, I'm trying to reprove that I am one of the best wide receivers in the league. I want to get into a system that fits what my skill set is, and it may not necessarily be with one of the elite teams, but they run a system that's good for me and my and what I know and what I can do. My personal thought on the Bengals wide receivers right now is I think Higgins can become a number one, right? So Boyd is my slot guy. Boyd is super smooth. Boyd is number 2 without question. Can be a fringe number 1 if your number 1 is hurt type of thing, but like he's not that dude. Higgins is on the cusp, but for me, if you gave me the opportunity again, and now this is if we address the offensive line in free agency, you give me the opportunity to draft a Jamar Chase, and you put Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd as your 3 wide receiver set. Good luck, defenses. Good luck. Like I think people forget how good Jamar Chase was when he was with Burrow. We're talking, look at Devontae Smith this year, right? So Devontae Smith just won the Heisman. First wide receiver to win the Heisman since 1991. He had like 100 and some odd catches, 1,700 yards, and 20 touchdowns. And he's 22 years old. Jamar Chase at 19 had 86 catches for 1,700 plus yards and 20 touchdowns. That's a number 1 wide receiver.
And Jamar Chase looks like an NFL number 1 wide receiver.
Yes, sir.
Smith looks like AJ Green when he came out, right? I mean, 100
actually looks more like John. He actually looks like more like John Ross from a build perspective, right? He's like 170, 175 pounds. He's a little dude. He's more durable than what Ross was, but he's still a slight dude. Whereas Jamar Chase,
75 pounds with his equipment,
won like 205.
Right.
Yeah. So if I'm looking pure number 1 and what I want to do, and Jamar Chase is sitting there at 5, and I've addressed my issues on the offensive line in free agency, I would 100% take Jamar Chase at number 5. As far as AJ Green's, ranking, as far as wide receivers within the pantheon of Bengals wide receivers, I wasn't a Bengals fan, or I was around, I guess, but not really an avid Bengals fan. But things that I've watched and researched and listened to cats a bit older than me, Isaac Curtis apparently was like the man when it comes to wide receivers, especially in the era in which he played, right? Where you could manhandle a wide receiver back in his day, and he was still lighting cats on fire. So I will defer from that perspective to those cats who would tell me nah, Isaac Curtis was the truth. Even Dave Lapham's like, yo, Isaac Curtis was the truth. But I think the next debate then comes down to, are we talking AJ or are we talking Chad, right? Chad brought a swagger and an appeal to being a Cincinnati Bengals fan that I don't know that I've experienced before and or since, right? He made it fun, and not only did he make it fun, but he was amazing. Like body control, he made easy catches look hard, right? Like you didn't have to dive for that ball and full on extend. Like you could have just grabbed it and kept running, but man,
the ball on the sideline where he'd be 3 feet away from the sideline, and
yes.
he'd get to the sideline and
yes.
just hold it,
yes.
and hold it and fall.
And then fall over? Right. I'm like, why are you doing that? I mean, it looks super cool. Why are you doing that?
Could have easily done TJ Houshmandzadeh's move, which was catch it, spin back the opposite way, and got an extra 10 yards. But no, he looked good when he hold that thing like that.
So I think from if you were looking at talent of wide receiver, just who do I want as my wide receiver? Give me AJ, because I don't have to deal with the headaches. I don't have to deal with the antics. As fun as they were when it was right, when it's not going right, it's just a giant pain in the butt, right? It's probably one of the biggest things that wore on Carson Palmer was my number one wide receiver is kind of a clown.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think that if Carson had stayed that extra year and they drafted AJ at 4, AJ fits Carson's personality, right? And I genuinely believe that would have encouraged him to stay longer had he had that dynamic instead of having to deal with for his purposes, the headache that was Chad Johnson. As far as entertainment value,
We lost Andre again.
somebody's wired, not me.
He's on there slightly. He's mumbled. I don't know what happened. This happened in the pre-show. We were talking to Andre, and just out of the blue, all of a sudden, mid-sentence, boom, lost him.
Sounds like Chris is gonna have to sing.
Oh, I thought it was coming in. Maybe it was just you talking, Adam.
Oh.
Say that one more time, Andre. I'll get close so I can hear you.
Sounds like you're just gonna have to sing.
All right, I guess you're right. Sounds like I'm just gonna have to sing. All right.
Perfect.
All right, so we'll go to the singing because I feel like Andre needs to be here while I'm singing. I'm not letting him go even if we can't hear him. He's still going to be here. So, all right. So the deal is I told Andre I would allow him to choose the song. I'm going to give him a list of songs, and I'll let him choose. Now, as most of you know, if you've listened to us with Andre before, we talk about Debonair. We talk about the vocal excellence of Andre Edwards and his group. So I feel like I want to keep it pretty. I want to keep it in that R&B kind of level, right? Because I want to play to the audience. So here you go. So I'm gonna throw 7 songs at you.
All right, real quick before you do this, I have to run and take care of something really quick. So you're probably going to have to do this without me, but I'm going to be able to go back and listen to it. I know that sounds crazy that I'm not going to listen to it live right now. My girl had surgery today. She needs me to get her something real quick. But while that's happening, I know it's too much information for this podcast, but while this is happening, while I'm doing that, you guys go ahead.
All right.
I'll be right back.
He doesn't want to hear it.
That's right. All right. So he just doesn't want to hear it is exactly right. So here we go. So we'll start off. Here's what you got to choose from. So there's 3 Boys to Men songs off the bat, all off 2 because in '94 I was 11 years old and it was also their greatest album. So I'll Make Love to You, On Bended Knee, Water Runs Dry. Now, one of my all-time favorites, I Swear, All for One's version. I've also got Hero, Enrique Iglesias. I tend to be pretty good at that one. Back at one. What are you laughing at? I wish people could hear the volume right now. Let me tell you, hey, I pull out some hero now. I'm just telling you. Listen, I know you're the professional. You went to college to learn how to sing, not learn how to sing, but to hone your vocal talents. I feel like I'm just one of those raw talents. You know what I mean? You sing from the gut, not from the nose or something. I know how that works. Okay. Hero. Back at one, Brian McKnight, and My Everything by 98 Degrees. Now, that being said, if you want to go a little off script, I can do Jump by Criss Cross. I can do You Can't Touch This by MC Hammer. I got Motown Philly from Boyz II Men. I got Baby Got Back, Sir Mix-a-Lot. Any Britney Spears, any Christina Aguilera. If you want to do some Spice Girls, I can hit some Spice Girls in there. Anything but Vanilla Ice. Anything but Ice Ice Baby. I am forced to do Ice Ice Baby so much, there's no way I'm doing that. So there you go. There's your I'm an open book. That's my karaoke. Those are all my karaoke go-tos. When I go to the karaoke bar, I'm there all night. Bending knee. All right, I'm bending knee. I'm gonna have to get the words just to make sure I sing them in the right places, because I usually mix the what do you call them, verses up. Like I'll do the second verse first and the first verse second. All right, let me pull this bad boy. I got it right here, ready to go.
No, sorry, that's I'll Make Love to You. Never mind. I had a
What's
joke
that?
there, but didn't work.
Oh, okay. All right, so I'm not doing the part in the beginning where the guy talks real deep. I can do that. I'll do the deep part. I'll do that in the beginning. I don't feel like it's singing, but that's all right. So you guys just tell me when you're ready, because I'm going to tell you, when I start, I'm not looking up at all, because I will start cracking up laughing.
We're ready. 3, 2, 1.
Darling, I can't explain. Where did we lose our way? Girl, it's driving me insane. And I know I just need one more chance to prove my love to you. If you come back to me, I guarantee I'll never let you go. Can we go back to the days our love was strong? Can you tell me? I can't do it without laughing. Can you tell me how the perfect love goes wrong? Baby. Can somebody tell me how to get things back the way they used to be? Oh, God, give me the reason. I'm down on bending knee. I ain't done. I'll never walk again until you come back to me. I'm down on bending knee. Let's see. I feel like that's good. I feel like I win. I feel like I paid my bet.
Very, very nice.
I would have gone farther, but I keep looking up, and Andre had his head in his sweatshirt, and I couldn't stop laughing.
I had to mute myself because I didn't want to distract you with my laughing.
I feel like if Debonair needs, somebody with my vocal range. I don't know. Like I said, I'm a raw talent. I don't know all the words: soprano, alto, bass, whatever it is. I feel like if you're missing this, I'd be happy to come do a little something for you. Get the guys together. Just a mic and a speaker is all I need, man. I knock it out. Oh, we got. Hold on. He's writing down what he thinks.
This is a good idea. We should do a podcast like this. Just be silent the entire podcast, you and me, and write down everything we need to say. Good idea.
Don't call us. We'll call you.
Wait by the phone, Chris. Wait by the phone.
Wait by the phone. Yep.
Oh my God, very good.
All right, Andre. Since we lost your speaker.
Audio, yeah.
Oh, there you go. We're going to ask you one more question about what your favorite breakfast cereals were, but didn't get to.
If you want to write down your Mount Rushmore, your four.
Mount Rushmore breakfast cereals. If you want to write it down real quick. Four.
Yep.
See if he can make it happen real quick. This is off the top of the head.
So if you're listening to this on whatever platform, on whatever podcast thing you use to listen to podcasts, you got to go to the YouTube version of this. This will be up on YouTube. You'll be able to see the video, and Andre is writing down his answers the same way that he wrote down his request to Chris for what he sang. Chris just probably this is.
I also want to come out and say that I feel like On Bended Knee, of the 7 songs I gave him, I feel like that's the song that I know the least. I feel like I could have did better with every other one of those songs. I just want everybody to know.
Okay, you sound like every American Idol person that gets sent home. You sound like
everybody I know tells me I'm so great.
Here we go. You got
go ahead,
Crunch with Crunch Berries, Apple Jacks, Frosted Flakes, Honey Nut Cheerios.
Honey Nut Cheerios, going old school. Now, is that a favorite, or is that just like you feel like it belongs on the Mount Rushmore? Favorite? It's a favorite. All right.
Excellent
choices. Audio. Get out of here. Mr. Andre Edwards, debonair, a Bengals insider for the Nosebleed Sports Podcast, and all-time great-looking man. Appreciate it as always, brother. I'm going to get you singing on this one day.
Thank you.
Brother.
All right.
Oh, man, such a bummer we lost his audio.
The man with the best voice of anyone I know, and we lose the audio to his video Zoom thing. We record on Zoom, and so whatever happens on there happens. I don't know how to make adjustments on Zoom if anything goes out, so we're just kind of at the mercy of whatever happens here.
I just want to say that I feel like all of the people listening and anybody who's listening to this podcast, watching this podcast, probably was hoping that my audio went out.
I was glad I got back to hear that. I was happy with that. I think you did a great job. I would not have done any better than that. I guarantee. So good. So next week, Adam has to pay up a bet on 2 minutes of stand-up comedy. I feel like these are really good. Like, these are tough things to do, and they're not fun. So I want you at one point in time. I need you to be singing. So this will come up as a bet again. Okay. All right. I mean, we bet on pretty much every season of sports, right? About something. So, all right. I'm sure it'll come up at some point. I've already eaten stupid hot wings, and you've already worn Speedos, and we've done just about everything. We can sing and do all kinds of stuff. This might go viral, to be honest with you. This might really, our lives might change after this when people hear your voice on this podcast.
This may become a variety show instead of a podcast. We might just, I might just be, come out, sing a song, have a little something happen, and just call me Betty White, man.
I'm ready to go. You are the modern day Betty White, even though Betty White still lives in modern day.
Yeah. Well, when she had her own show, which was like 1930 something.
Gotcha.
I feel like I Swear it might be, or Hero by Enrique Iglesias might be my 2 favorites to belt out.
Yeah.
And if I have a few cocktails, if it wasn't Sober January, I had a few cocktails, and oh boy, I'd have picked my own. Man, people would have been having to get new. We would have got sued for all the speakers we would have had to replace.
You'd have let loose, huh?
Oh yeah. Anyway, all right. So, do you want to? Because I did not listen to the podcast because our country went into a crazy disarray today as people invaded the Capitol building. So without getting into all that, I did not watch it because during that time I was planning on watching this, and instead I watched all that craziness go down. So I did not watch Jacob. What was his name? Jacob. Yeah, I did not watch him. So we'll do that for next week. But we will get into my Mount Rushmore of breakfast cereal.
Let's do that. But first, we are going to take a very quick break. If you're okay with that.
Yeah.
Very quick break. All right, we're back. We rarely take breaks here, but we did this time. We thank Andre Edwards again for joining us in the first part of this episode. We are now going to move into what we ended Andre with. He gave us his sorry about that. He gave us his Mount Rushmore of cereal, which was your choice last week to do this week. Breakfast cereal, like you said, we're going to save lunch cereal and dinner cereal for another time, but we're going to do breakfast cereal this time. Chris, tell me, what is on your Mount Rushmore or top 4 all-time cereal?
Okay, so these are the greatest cereals ever made mostly because they're my Mount Rushmore because they're the 4 cereals that we always had at my house growing up. It was one of these 4 cereals. Number 1 is still the staple in my house to this day, Cinnamon Toast Crunch. All-time favorite. There used to be like 4 bakers on the box. Now there's only Wendell, the 1 baker's on the box. Feel bad for the other guys, but is what it is. Cinnamon Toast Crunch. And then
guy now?
Huh?
Only 1 guy?
Yeah, there's only been 1 guy for a while, man. Since we were teenagers. Yeah, it's been a long time. Long time.
I guess I didn't realize that.
Yep. And then Frosted Flakes, Tony the Tiger. Always, that was a staple at the house. I had Frosted Flakes forever. Captain Crunch with Crunch Berries, which was one of Andre Edwards. I was going back and forth with mine if I would just do the Just Crunch Berries because they have now Just Crunch Berries. But I feel like you got to have the Captain with them. I feel like the Captain's got to be with the Crunch Berries. Yeah. And last but not least, I am cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Wow.
Now, close for me. I've always been a big Lucky Charms guy. Mm-hmm. I eat every single regular piece and then leave all the marshmallows for last. Okay. It's like a contest for me to see if I can possibly not eat a single marshmallow until the end. And they make just marshmallows now, but that's no fun. That takes the fun out of eating cereal. So that's a close call for me. Apple Jacks was always big, and I love the fake Apple Jacks. You got to get the Kroger brand or whatever great value brand that came in a bag. That's how we got our Apple Jacks. They were called like Apple Circles or something like that. That's how we did our Apple Jacks. What was that?
Apple Dapples. That's some generic brand of Apple Jacks. Apple Dapples. My dad and I peed our pants in the middle of the store laughing so hard the first time we ever saw that.
Clean up in aisle 6.
Yeah.
So anyway, you got your Count Chocula's and all those guys too, but those are mine. What do you got?
Really good choices. I think you had 2 similar ones to Andre because I think he had Apple Jacks and Captain Crunch, right?
No. I didn't do.
Oh, you didn't do Apple Jacks, right? You just
Apple Jacks was an honorable mention.
But you had
Frosted Flakes. You know what? He might have had Frosted Flakes on there.
So you had Captain Crunch and Frosted Flakes. Okay, good for you. All right, so you guys have some quite a few in common. It's kind of similar to, I think you guys had a couple in common in the sodas as well, if I remember right. So okay, yeah. So mine, I got to go Cinnamon Life. Cinnamon Life cereal.
You're so old.
I have a box on the top of my refrigerator right this very second. And that's when I don't buy cereal that often anymore, but when I do, it's Cinnamon Life.
Okay.
Number 2, Golden Grams.
Oh, Golden Grams. Oh my God, I totally forgot about Golden Grams were huge in my house back in the day.
Love Golden Grams. I'm going Lucky Charms for sure. I have to go Lucky Charms, and I got to tell you, I eat them the exact same way that you do.
Yes.
the grain part first. Leave all the marshmallows. Oh my gosh, that scoop of marshmallows at the end, or several scoops of marshmallows.
So good.
Oh gosh, it's making my teeth and my belly and my taste buds all dance. Number 4 for me is another one you might think I'm an old guy with, but it's Wheaties. Wheaties was a staple.
Wheaties was a staple at the Schmidt house. They always had a box of Wheaties. I totally was expecting the Wheaties to come out.
Yeah.
I would only eat Wheaties with like 5 spoonfuls of sugar.
Yeah. I used to always put sugar on mine. If I get a box today, I probably don't put sugar on them because I don't have sugar at my house. I have a lot of food with a lot of sugar in it, but I don't buy just regular granulated sugar. I don't know why. There are certain things that most people have in their house that I just don't have in mine.
I feel like there's a lot of things that most people have in their house that you just don't have in yours.
Yes.
But
Fruit, vegetables, sugar, flour,
baking soda, all the good stuff. So obviously Adam doesn't bake, is where we're getting out this. So real quick, can we talk about one thing when it comes to cereal? The older I've gotten, the less cereal I eat. I bet I've had 3 bowls of cereal in the past 10 years.
Wow.
Not because I don't like cereal. I love cereal. When my kids have cereal every morning, my mouth waters. But if I eat cereal, the roof of my mouth gets tore up so bad that I can hardly drink, talk, eat anything for like 3 days afterwards.
Yeah, I was gonna say you have some real roof rippers in your Mount Rushmore there. I gotta tell you, Captain Crunch is about as bad as it gets with that stuff, man.
No doubt.
Even Cocoa Puffs, even though they're like perfect balls, perfect circles, they'll tear you up if you don't let them get soggy. And most people don't like to eat soggy cereal. I'll eat some soggy cereal, but you gotta let Cocoa Puffs sog out a little bit.
Let me tell you something. So I am not a soggy cereal person at all. Hate it. I think it's disgusting. It's weird textured. I eat cereal. I want my cereal with the milk, but I think the reason that happens is because you get that milk in there and you like suck on the spoon, right? So you're like sucking that sugary hardness up against the top of your roof of your mouth. I think that's where that comes from. But when it comes to the sogginess, my son, when he gets his cereal, asks me to come over because I fill him a big bowl of cereal, right? Because he eats a lot of cereal. He doesn't get the same bowl the little girls get. He gets a man's bowl, a real bowl, filled to the top. Well, he can't. He likes to make sure that everything gets a bunch of milk on it. So he has me come back and like twirl the cereal to make sure everything's plenty milky and push down the milk. And then he'll sit there for 5 minutes and wait for it to get soggy. So gross. I did not raise my son that way.
Hey, is the roof of his mouth in good shape?
No, but when you're a kid, the roof of your mouth doesn't get, you got like special roof mouth, man. You don't get roof raider or whatever you call it, roof ripper.
So it's like COVID. It's harder for kids to get it.
Exactly right. Oh my gosh. I think we might have just found the cure.
You got to make everything salt. I don't know. What is the cure?
Cereal.
Oh,
Grown just need to start eating cereal.
So that they just need to put soggy cereal in a vial in a what do you call it? Syringe and shoot into us.
No, you just give people a bowl of cereal to eat.
Oh.
Syringe, man, I don't get to taste it. If I'm going to get sugary cereal in roof ripper mouth, I like that roof ripper. That's good. And get that mouth, I'm eating that thing. I'm not shooting it in my arm where I can't even taste it.
Yeah, that's true. Man, if that was if sugary cereal was the cure for anything, oh my God, I'd be disease free for the rest of my life.
100%, I guarantee it.
I would be the luckiest man on earth because I'd eat Lucky Charms for every meal.
Someday I'll find that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
Hey man, I might have just found a joke for next week.
Oh yeah. Oh man, I can't wait for so do we get a little preview of the comedy? Are you keeping it clean? You going a little PG-13, getting a little X-rated on the comedy next week? What do you got?
It's going to be, let me just warn everybody, this is going to be the dirtiest comedy you've ever heard in your life. So don't let your kids listen to next week's podcast. All right. Do not let your grandma listen to it. Put your grandma, your wives, your kids to bed, and before you turn this thing on, because we're talking dirty. It's going to be bad.
I would love to see. I feel like watching you do something like that would be funny because everybody knows it would never happen. So I'm pretty excited about this 2 minutes of. Are you going to do a stopwatch so you can just stop whenever you feel like it's time for you to stop, so you don't have to keep going?
Well, no, I mean, if I go 2 minutes, even if I have a stopwatch and I go 2 minutes, if I'm in the middle of a joke, it's not like I'm going to stop that joke. I'm going to finish.
Okay,
the
good.
joke.
You finished the joke. Good, good.
For sure.
I'm excited about Adam Schmidt comedy.
I already have even more respect for when you did yours, because boy, is it even harder when you actually have to sit down and figure out how to write a joke and try to make it good in a week or two.
Yeah.
Nearly impossible.
I don't even remember what my joke was now. I don't even remember what joke I told.
It was the kid going to Hooters. It was like the kid that was like a teenager.
Oh, yeah. Dancing around table or something. Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Good.
So
That's why it made me appreciate that joke even more, because I'm like, just trying to think of premises or trying to think of ideas to start a joke, to start writing a joke is like, I mean, it seems like there are an endless amount of topics out there that you could figure something out for, but to actually, when you're like, I mean, I could say, okay, table. I got to think of, some material on tables. Let's see, what's funny about a table? And then you start thinking about and then even if you kind of get an idea for a joke, you're like, yeah, but those words, I got to figure out how to change the words around because that's not funny enough. And then you start, and then, and then I overthink everything. So I'm not going to be satisfied with it no matter what. But that's where I'm at, man. I'm starting to try to think of some stuff, and I had a couple things written down from like the last 5 to 10 years. A few times I had thoughts about something that I thought could be possibly a joke, and I wrote them down.
yeah.
And I still have those, and I don't know why I kept those, because I'm not writing jokes. I'm not a comedian, but
You never know.
I guess this was it. This was why I kept it. I had no idea, but this is why I kept it.
I'm excited. I'm
Yeah,
excited for
really.
next week. I am excited for next week. I'm excited for next week. I keep looking up. So I'm sitting at this table, right? I'm in my basement where we just made it for the kids. And I'm sitting in this little tiny chair at this little tiny table. And I had to put a little box up to sit my iPad on. And I keep leaning forward because my butt hurts, because this table's like a wooden table and a chair, and it hurts. And then I look at the screen and I see how close my face is. And I'm like, oh my God, that is super scary.
But your lighting is still so much better than mine. I'm obviously, if you watch this, a couple of times or more, I'm coming from a remote location here. So
You are not at your house.
I didn't even think about the lighting until I actually turned it on and we were about to start. I'm like, oh my God. So is what it is. Sorry.
You never looked better. Never looked better.
Boy, appreciate that. I thought you loved me, but obviously you're lying to me. So
no,
that's not.
Absolutely not. I totally, no way. Not even a little bit.
I'm kidding.
On that note, though, I think we let you get to your ailing lady and get to your joke writing. And next week we'll do Jake. What was his name? Jacob
Williams.
Jacob Williams will also rate Adam Schmidt's 2 minutes of comedy. And you got to come up with a Mount Rushmore.
A Mount Rushmore. Okay, so that's something that I totally lost track of. So off the top of my head, Mount Rushmore of. We're gonna do the Mount Rushmore of See, I don't want to do food again because we did candy, we did soda, we did cereal.
I've got one if you want to go 2 in a row after this.
Okay, what do you have?
90s sitcoms.
Oh, great idea. Excellent. Let's do 90s sitcoms next week. I will do the following 2 weeks after that. Promise I'll be prepared. And then we'll do Jacob Williams next week, and then the next week and then we'll start switching off after that. Like I'll have the following week's comedy, and then the next 2 weeks. Okay.
We'll figure it out. It's all good. We'll figure it out. But from here, I cannot wait for next week. I got to sing today, slightly. You know what, though? The difference between you doing comedy next week and me singing was I had to sing in front of a singer. You're not like doing stand-up comedy in front of Adam Sandler or something.
Well, by next week he's probably going to end up seeing it because our podcast is going to be viral from your this week. So there's a good chance that Adam Sandler and most professional comedians end up seeing my stand-up next week because of your singing today.
Because after that singing, that was definitely a comic. There was definitely a lot of comedy in that. So, all right. So, till then.
I thought you were great, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. I didn't really get into my vocal, my highs and lows and stuff. I didn't get too deep into that, but that's okay. It'll be all right.
You got people sleeping upstairs, man. You can't really let it all go. One day, your kids are all going to be old enough. We're going to be doing this like at 6:00 in the evening, and you're just going to belt it out.
I might just one day right in the middle of the podcast, just start singing.
Maybe we'll do a duet. Let's plan a duet sometime.
Don't you make promises you can't keep.
All right. That's probably going to end up being some sort of a bet at some point again, like you said earlier. So
I feel like the only way we're getting Andre to sing is to make the bet the loser of the season, the 2 losers of the season have to sing a duet.
Maybe. Although if he ends up being one of the losers, how bad is that going to be that either one of us brings him that far down? I mean,
it's going to be so awesome. How great would it be to hear Chris Farley singing next to Enrique Iglesias or something like that, and them going back and forth? That would be the greatest thing in the world. You get a good little bit of comedy, and you get some really good singing.
That's true. That reminds me of one of my favorite duets of all time is a comedy duet that Will Ferrell and Dave Grohl did together. I don't know if you –
What?
They sang I think it's called Leather and Lace by Fleetwood Mac.
Oh, my God.
Or maybe it's just a Stevie Nicks. No, I think it's a duet. So it had to be Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah.
They did – I've got to send you that on YouTube. It was years ago. Super, super funny. So funny. Because Dave Grohl is like serious. He's playing the guitar. They're sitting there with stools on stage. He's playing the guitar, and he knows the song. He's doing it serious. And then Will Ferrell, sings his part seriously, but he's not good, so it's funny. And then he does little things. You got to see it. If you haven't seen that and you're listening to this, go to YouTube and check out, I think it's called Leather and Lace, Dave Grohl and Will Ferrell. And then I'm going to send you that to your cellular telephone.
I need that because that's going to be great. I definitely want that.
All right.
So until next week, then, don't forget to turn your headlights on.